Okay, welcome to this week's episode of The Outcast. See if we can do this without any kind of major audio malfunction this week. Let me get into the chat. All right, so this week I don't really have anything planned. I was going to do a topic about hammocks. Might talk a little bit about them, but didn't really get anything put together for it. There you go, bring the chat out. All right, cool. So this week I'm going to start with some changes at YouTube. I did a video about it the other day called Coffee and a Conversation. And I just want to go over some of the information that I've kind of found. I wasn't sure what this change was going to do for the smaller channels. Got an email from YouTube 2 days ago saying that as of the 20th, stall a bit, no notifications. Oh. Okay, so apparently notifications didn't go out. It's not the first time that's happened either. So stall. That's interesting when you don't have anything to talk about. Well, I stall a little bit with this, my new toy, my new Esbit stove. Just got this. It's only like $11. Did a video on it today. That's up. And just gonna mess around with this. I don't think this is ever gonna become anything permanent that I carry with me all the time, but just something fun to mess around with. Little aluminum stove. Runs off these fuel cubes. Solid fuel. Which is, and Shelly did see your comment, these fuel cubes are made out of something called hexamine. And that's about as much information as I got on hexamine. You don't want to breathe it in, that's for sure. From what I understand, it may create formaldehyde. But as with any kind of stove, you don't want to use it in an enclosed space anyway. So I'm not too worried about that. I mean, people use these all the time. You just don't want to inhale the fumes coming out of it. There's also a warning on the box about something called methanamine, which apparently is a antibiotic. I don't know why that's in there, but interesting. Hey, what's up, Rocket? Rocket Outdoors. Thanks for stopping by. Cool, so people starting to filter in, so I'll get started with what I was gonna start talking about. These things do smell fishy. My buddy's got one of these stoves, and we did a backpacking trip a couple years ago at Moshannon State Forest, and I don't know if they were in packets like this, but I know every once in a while we get this fishy smell. We'd be hiking, and you could definitely smell it. I knew that was already downside of them, but as long as they're wrapped, I can't smell these, and they're wrapped up. They're in their little packets, so you just have to deal with the packet when you're hiking. That I can deal with that. They're light enough, so it's gonna be fun to mess around with. Something I never really thought I would get, just because I always use a canister stove, but it's super light, and a backup is always good. And if I'm really looking to save weight, this is clearly the way to go, especially if I'm going to really be relying on a fire to cook. That's just good to have as a backup. So if I stop somewhere and not want to start a fire, I can stop on a trail and heat up some water. But the topic I started with was the YouTube changes, and I looked through the Creator Studio, because I know there were a lot of the tools that I know that I use, the over 15-minute video length, which is I blow past a lot on the hiking videos. the live streaming, which I just started using. Happy trails. How you doing? Thanks for joining the chat, or the chat in the video stream. The live stream, which I just started using, and the custom thumbnails, which I think are really important in getting your videos seen. So I looked through all of those options in the Creator Studio, and I swear those used to be dependent on being a YouTube partner. They may have changed that. I don't know when, but now they only seem to be dependent on you being a verified channel. So you go through and you do they verify your phone number, and you put the code on a website, I think is still a part of that, and they verify you're an actual person, and then it seems like these things will not be disappearing, which is awesome. That would have been, the monetization is somewhat of a big deal. It is nice to be able to make money off the videos, but as the size channel that I am, I'm not making a ton of money. So if I go a couple months without bringing in anything, then it is what it is. I just got to get my channel up to a spot where I can start making that money again. And hopefully that means that with there being a stricter set of rules for the partner program, hopefully that means that those payouts are a little bit higher. Maybe once we get back up to partner status, we'll actually be able to make some money. And I don't ever expect to be able to do this full time as my only source of income. It would be nice. I know some channels can do it, but just that little bit extra to buy some new camera gear or some new hiking gear, go towards the entrance pass of a national park or something like that. It is nice to have that every once in a while. So I'm not really too upset that with the change. I'm more upset with the lack of communication. It was just like this email that got sent out, and hey, you guys are losing your partnership. That kind of sucked. I really wish YouTube would get better at communicating with us, the creators, so we know what's going on. Because that email clearly said, hey, we talked to people like you, and this is what we came up with. They would ask me, I would have never told them that was okay. But there was ways they could have done that without really kicking channels that are already doing the right thing out. Don't want to go too much into that because I think it's probably been getting covered to death by everybody. But I did look into things that I thought we were going to lose or was a possibility, and it seems like a lot of the tools that we have now, we're still going to have, just not the monetization for now, until we get back to that point. So hopefully that doesn't take too long. I do want to thank, I see Rocket Outdoors and Happy Trails on here. You guys, we just kind of all started finding each other's channels. It's very cool because this little community of outdoors channels that I see, when I go find new channels, it seems like a lot of the same people are liking these. A lot of the same channels are going to the same places. And it's more of a community than I thought you would find in YouTube. It seems like a lot of channels like to compete with each other. This little group of outdoors channels, everybody seems to want to get along and help each other and support instead of compete. And a little competition is good. I see some videos that you guys put out, and I go, that I really like the way that was shot, or I like the places they're going, and it makes me want to do better. That kind of competition is good, but it's like a supportive competition. So I really appreciate everybody who's subscribed, everybody who supports the channel, everybody who comments and likes and stops by for these live streams and all that. It's awesome. It's a cool little community, and I'm looking forward to a long time growing with all the rest of you guys, all of you out there that we're all kind of doing the same thing. So thanks. Since I got people in here kind of chatting it up, which is cool. You guys got any questions about gear that I use, about me, about the channel, about anything? Just go ahead and put them in there. Otherwise, I'll just keep rambling on. Like I said, I don't really have a lot. Originally, I was going to talk about hammocks this week. I was going to get all kinds of stuff together. You can't really see if I can do this without screwing things up. Over to the side here, in this corner behind the lights, well, you can't really see it. Do this. Is my sewing machine and all the stuff there that I use for making my hammock gear. And I'm doing a one camera setup this week, so no multi-cameras. I got into making my own gear. Adam Z Adventures, what's going on? We must be neighbors. You must live right nearby because a lot of your videos are very similar to places that I go to, which is cool. It's good to see local people doing these. Yeah, so I started making my own hammocks after a season of hammock camping, and kind of fell in love with doing it. Making your own gear, waking up in your own, hanging from trees, some stuff that you made and not falling out of those trees is pretty cool. I really, really enjoy it. Okay, let's read some of these here. Small outdoors channels finding one another. Love the community. The community is absolutely great here. This is really, really cool. There's a few bigger channels, and Adam Z said, really like the smaller channels, the bigger ones not liking as much. There's a few bigger channels that kind of recently got big. One of them, I guess he's always been bigger, but Joe Robinette really kind of got me looking to document more of the videos, the way I do the videos now. Not that I want to copy what he does, but I was never talking to the camera up until a few months ago. It was just either video slideshows or I was just shooting video clips, putting music over, editing to the music. And just recently started really getting into talking to the camera. So it's neat. It's a different style, a little more explanation can go into what I'm seeing. I think I probably got to stop talking so much in the videos, but it's fun. It's a neat way to grow. I don't hold anything against the bigger channels. They got to where they are the right way. There are some that I won't watch because they're a little too shock and awe. Yes, sewing for me, it's weird. I hadn't sewn anything since middle school, and I decided I was going to start making hammocks. And I bought a sewing machine, and I looked at it for about an hour, and I had no idea what I was doing. So I made a lot of little prototypes and messed around with a lot of stuff, and now I'm getting all right with it. I got to unbury it, and I'm working on a hammock setup for a friend, and going to get that made for him. The only thing I finish on that is the tarp, and then his setup will be done. So I just got to get that done and get that out to him. So that'll be pretty cool to see somebody else using it. All right, so Happy Trail says, we're in the Midwest located, but travel all over. Need to get to the Northeast, but can't stand cities. I absolutely agree. So you got some big cities here. You got Pittsburgh, you got Philly, you got New York, you got Boston. If you can get to the Catskills, upstate New York, there's about 2.5 hours from where I am to get to the Catskills, and it's gorgeous up there. Actually, the shirt I'm wearing is from the Hunter Mountain Zipline tours up there. One of the coolest little adventures I've been on in a long time. You can find a lot out here without being in a city. If you're gonna go to a city in the Northeast, I would say go way northeast, go up into Maine, and go to Portland. Probably my favorite city. Love Maine, love Portland. Scrambled O, Rocket, yeah. I just started watching Scrambled O. The first video I watched of his, he's kind of an odd guy, but he kind of reminds me of, if you ever listen to Primus, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Les Claypool, so I kind of dig him just for that. But he does some amazing cooking stuff. He made this one keyhole oven stove thing that he was cooking on a rock. It was incredible. So I like his channel. Doug Outside's cool. I like some of his coffee videos, that coffee series he did. They're pretty cool. TA Outdoors, I've heard of. I don't know if I've ever seen a video. Maybe one or two. I gotta look into them a little more. I hear a lot of people talking about them. Where to fly in? Well, where would you be flying out of? A big airport, little airport, and what area? You could fly into New York City. There's a lot of small regional places. If you're talking about up in New Hampshire, Rocket would be the one to answer that one because I don't know New Hampshire much at all. I've been in there once. Manchester. Oh, there we go. If I was caught up with the comments. Uh, Rocco, where in New Hampshire are you? You east or west? Because I've been to New Hampshire. I did a road trip up there 2 years ago. Came through what was the town? I'm never gonna be able to remember it. Went through the southern end of New Hampshire, and went to Miller State Park, Packmanodnak, and hiked through there. That was a beautiful, beautiful area. I was gonna go up to the Whites, and I avoided the Whites simply because there was a nor'easter blowing through, and I only had like 2 days to get home. I didn't want to get stuck. But what I've seen in New Hampshire is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful area, and I got to get up to the Whites and do some hiking up there. So I guess back to hammocks as I see Pemmy New Hampshire, Massachusetts border. So okay, so you're on that side, or south. Should be south. I was trying to go to. No, that was New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. There's a trail that takes you up to the Tri Point up there on the New York. We tried to get there from the New York side, and it was warming up, and an ice flow was going to block our way through. Packmanodnak was awesome. I got there. It was the end of October, beginning of November of 2015, and it was this nor'easter was coming through. Nobody knew what it was going to do. It poured all the way back from. I was in Acadia. From Acadia, I drove straight through to. I cannot think of the name of that little town. It doesn't matter. So I drove through, stayed overnight. When I woke up in the morning, it was like 70 degrees. The temperature went up like 50 degrees. So everything was foggy, and it was raining. And I hiked up one side. I didn't drive up. I hiked up and came back down. Was talking to one of the rangers at the booth, and she suggested hiking it instead of driving it, and I'm glad I did. That was awesome up there. And then I think I went from there. I was heading over to Bennington, Vermont. So I went past this little wayside, Chesterfield Gorge, I think it was called, and I stopped there for a minute. Not real big place, and then I skipped over to Vermont from there. Best time of year for this area? I guess it depends. If you like cold weather, now is the time. If you don't mind snow and ice, I don't mind any kind of weather. Um, how can you get my hammock? If you know how to message on, or actually you got me on Facebook too. Reach out. We'll set something up. I can make you a hammock. Give me some color ideas and all that, and we'll talk about you. Talk about it. We'll get a hammock out to you guys. We'll get two. Get one for both of you. Um, Summer's great. It's a little humid up this way. Uh, Depending on how far up north you're going, you get into Maine. Summer's awesome. It's like in the 80s up in Acadia. Actually, if you're gonna come up north, I would go to Acadia if you want to go that far. Acadia National Park is beautiful. Been there twice. I've went both times in the fall, and there's way less crowds up there then. And the first year I went, they were having their no. The second year I went, they were having their 100-year anniversary, and they were getting like 3 to 4 thousand people into the area just on cruise ships a day. A day. So by the time we got there, all the cruise ships had left. It was the last week of October, and there was no one there, and it was beautiful. Love it up there. Um, but yeah, winter, if you ski, winter's good. Vermont, I guess you get a lot of skiing up there. I'm not a skier. I used to snowboard, but um, I'd rather be hiking or snowshoeing, which we haven't had enough snow yet this year for snowshoeing. But I'd rather give up the snowshoeing this year for the colder weather if it kills off some of these ticks, because we've had a bad 2 years of ticks. Yeah, New Hampshire extreme winter hiking. See, that actually sounds fun to me. Um, I've always enjoyed being outside in the winter, but the past couple of years I've really enjoyed camping in the snow, and so anything that's as long as you got the right gear, I guess extreme is only in your ability. But if you're up in like the whites, hey, Rocky, you said you were up near Mount Washington or going to go to Mount Washington. Was that you that said that? Um, there's some weather up there. It's just insane. Like coldest place in the country. I think they had like -49 wind chill like a couple weeks ago. That's insane. That's cold. I'd like to do that just to do it, but I wouldn't want to stay for very long. Fall in Northeast PA is pretty cool, Adam. Um, when we get color up here, it's incredible. You get some really, really cool colors. It's almost sad. When I moved to Florida back in 2006, and I didn't realize how much color we got here until I left. I was gone for about 6 years, and then I came back. And that first fall, when I saw the colors again, because you don't get that down in Florida, you don't. The leaves just fall off, and new leaves take their place immediately. You don't get the color change. Oh man, you hike the whites every weekend, man. I'm jealous. That's that's got to be those are higher mountains than anything we've got around here. I mean, even the Catskills, the Adirondacks, those are. I've seen some awesome hiking up in in the whites, and I can't wait to get up there. Yeah, Katy in the fall, definitely if you can do it. I mean, sometimes if you can get there anytime, I'd say do it. But just because the whole island is basically interspersed towns and this in the national park, and so you go into Bar Harbor, which is probably one of my favorite little towns. It's such a little like a sea community, seaside community. It's just really cool, and I can't imagine it with all the people. But when you go there and there's really no one there, and it's just the locals, and especially at the end of the year because they're kind of relieved everybody's gone. It's a really cool little spot. Um, but yeah, there's all these little towns and the park and all the stuff that you can see. Uh, I can't wait to go back. Been there twice. I'm not really a big fan of taking the same trip twice, like going to local places. Obviously, you hit multiple times, but that was somewhere where I had the opportunity to do that 2 years in a row, and I took it because it was incredible. Yeah, Mount Washington. I've seen. I was talking to my sister about Mount Washington, and she didn't believe me. And I found a video of a guy trying to stand against the wind, and he's like leaned over like this, and the wind's just pushing him back, and he's trying to fight it. It's that's insane. The weather in Mount Washington is insane. So happy, Charles. You've been all over the place. You get to go. You looks like you've done a little bit out in the Midwest, seen some desert. That's one of the things I've got on my short list of things to do. I almost did it at the end of the year. I almost just hopped on a bus and took a bus across or a train and just went across country and hung out in the desert for a little while. Um, that's that. I don't know. I've never been in desert, so I'm dying to go to desert and see it. Am I reading that right? -94. -94 in Mount Washington. That is cold. That's freezing cold. When I went to Acadia, both times I stayed at Blackwoods Campground, which is right next to Otter Cove. So every night, every morning, at least twice a day, I was hiking, walking, well, not hiking, but walking down to the rocks there by Otter Cove. Watch the sunrise, just go out there at night. Got some really cool, really, really cool night photography. And I'm not good with trying to capture the Milky Way, but I got some really cool photos out there at night. Probably one of my favorite places is Acadia. -94. That's nuts. How do you even prepare for -94? That's insane. I don't. I may actually have seen a picture of that guy with like his whole, it's like his eyes were frozen. That's, yeah. You're not gonna spend a lot of time outdoors. -94. Okay, I think I'm all caught up on the chat there. Um, Death Valley. That's where's Death Valley? I know I should know this. Is it in Utah? But that's that's got to be pretty cool. Did you guys camp there, or did you like rent a hotel? What, that camping in the desert, that I'd want to do like cowboy camp style. I'd want to just lay out under the stars as long as I didn't get rained on. Actually, rain doesn't bother me, but as long as it's warm. Uh, I want to see Grand Canyon, but there's so many of these little small like national monuments and smaller lands out there that people don't really see very much. You look at them on. I'll go to Google and I'll do like a photo search for some of these places, or just go to the map and click on their webpage, and some of the views out there, it's just so flat, and you got all these like rock structures and stuff out there. It's just crazy. Big Bend. I've heard of Big Bend. Did I see somebody do a video on Big Bend? Monument Valley looks cool. Uh, Northern Grand Canyon last summer. Oh, you're going to the. Oh, that's gonna be cool. Well, you better do a lot of video on that Rockies trip, because there's some very cool places that I've seen. Well, not that I've seen, but I've seen videos of, seen pictures of them. I've never been west at all. The first west I've been is probably, oh, Death Valley's in California, or Rockies, California, California Rockies, California Rockies. I don't know. I'm horrible with my Rockies where they go. You gonna do any part of the PCT while you're out there? The Pacific Crest Trail. Seeing some very cool videos on that. For me, the Grand Canyon is, I don't know, maybe because it's just what you always hear about. I'm sure it's packed. I've looked into going out there and doing backpacking. Um, Stayed at the lodge. Cool. Nothing, there's nothing wrong with. I love camping, but if I'm doing a traveling trip and I'm going to see something, wherever I gotta stay. If I gotta stay, sleep in my car, stay in a hotel, camp, doesn't matter. You're there for the adventure anyway. So yeah, but the Grand Canyon for me has always been somewhere I wanted to see, just because, maybe because it's kind of hyped. I'm sure it's I'm sure it's as nice as people say it is. And I would love to do a backpacking trip there, but you got to plan it so far in advance that you got to hope your plans stay together. You got to get the backcountry permit. Hopefully, you can get a backcountry permit. It's kind of crazy. Potato Tom. Oh, I'll check them out definitely. I have not done any trips with the meetup groups, Adam. I have meetup on my phone and I watch it, but I've never actually reached out and connected with any of those people. I don't know why. It's kind of, it's like a Craigslist thing for me. It always makes me, kind of weirds me out a little bit. But um, I've looked at them. It's just I try to avoid people. I know it sounds bad, but I try to avoid people when I'm out in the woods. If I'm hiking and I hear a group of people coming, I kind of turn to, I get like deer syndrome. I'm looking and I run away. A large group of people when I'm hiking is the opposite of what I want to do. But I do want to get involved in a meetup or something like that, or something, and just see some different places, because different people know the different local spots. Have you joined up with any of the meetups? Have you done any of those? because I'd like to know if it's worth going, worth doing. Sea Rocket, the whites are great. Pick your days and watch your weather reports. Going to do a 4K, nice. Cool. Nice. Yeah, I can't wait to see that video. Yeah, the highest mountains right close to us are in the Catskills. It's Slide Mountain. Yeah, that's the highest one. That's just over 4,000. It's like 4,100. I did that earlier in 2017 with my nephew, and that was pretty cool. And that's the highest mountain I've hiked. I was up in the Adirondacks a couple years ago, but that was like a kayak camp trip. So we did hike one mountain, but it was one of the Saranac Six, a Baker Mountain, but we didn't do any of the high peaks. We were at the base of the high peaks, and when you used to talk about the weather and the whites changing like that, I sat in our campsite with my phone watching the radar and watching the weather, and it would change like every 3 seconds, like what they were saying. It's going to be beautiful. No, now it's going to be a thunderstorm. And you just watch the clouds and the storms just form out of nowhere around the high peaks. And they were always we were in Saranac, and they just head right for us. It was insane. So I can imagine in the whites, that's probably tenfold. That's probably a huge difference. Thanks for stopping by Happy Trails. Looking forward to checking out the rest of your videos from Death Valley. Thanks for stopping by. North rim of the Grand Canyon. I was actually looking at camping up there, and just staying there, and then doing day hikes down into the valley or into the canyon. It's not really a valley. Cool. Appalachia. Backpackers was fun. Okay, yeah. Your Thunder Swamp here. I think I watched that one. Was that the one I watched? Um, yeah, it's. I'm kind of weird about doing it myself because you don't know how long all these people have been hiking together, and it's always kind of weird for me. I should probably get over that. Just start finding some people to hike with, some other people to hike with. Um, but yeah, Thunder Swamp is cool. That's where I was. Well, the Thunder Swamp Trail was where I was for Christmas Eve. I did like, I guess that'd be the southeast loop or southeast, southwest side of it, down by Bushkill, and no, that would be yeah, southwest side of it, and that was pretty cool. I did up by Painter Swamp earlier in the year on the Thunder Swamp Trail. It's a really nice trail. They don't maintain it well though. There's some spots that's just way overgrown. Blaze isn't good. There's trails that are on the map that just are no longer there. There's a little loop. I forget what the loop is called, but it's supposed to take you around Thunder Swamp and bring you back up to one of the trailheads. And it's just me and my buddy hiked that, and we got about three-quarters of the way through, and it's just gone now. And we had limited daylight. We barely made it back to the car before the sun went down. Mount Washington, July, 85 at the base, 30s at the summit, 70-mile-an-hour winds. That's that's a bit of a drastic change from the base to the summit. Any of the Devil's Path? If I have, it's just been small parts. I haven't done the whole thing. I may have accidentally been on a part of it that was part of the Devil's Path and not realized it. There's so many trails up there, it's almost impossible to know what they all are. I've watched a couple of videos on the Devil's Path, like people doing the whole thing, and some of those spots just look incredible. The areas in there where you're doing those rock scrambles and you get up into now again, Catskills don't have an alpine zone, but it's kind of like a Catskill alpine. We get up towards the tops of these above 3,500 feet, and that those areas are just insanely beautiful. I'd like to do the Devil's Path. Just a matter of having the time and you know getting out there and doing it. I've done I don't think the escarpment trail. I think the escarpment trail ends where the Devil's Path begins. I've done parts of the escarpment trail near North South Lake, Northport, Stopple Point, and what else is out there? I forget where the other spot is out there. But I hiked out to that Stopple Point airplane crash, and that plane is still there. At least it was a year ago. I think when we went 2 years ago. Let's see. All right, so I've been trying to keep these at like 30 minutes, and it's just about 30 minutes now. So I'm gonna, considering I had nothing to talk about, it was cool to have you guys here to chat with. Let's see, Slide Mountain. Yeah, I got up there. I went to Slide Mountain in April, and there was like 5 people we saw. The busiest mountain I've seen in New York is south of there at Bear Mountain State Park. I saw probably 1,500 people on that trail. That was insane. I'll never go there again. There was way too many people. It's a part of the Harrison State Park, or butts right up against it, and there was so many people on that trail. It was insane. But I'm gonna end it at that. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Hopefully you guys stop by on another one. We'll chat some more, and I'll be looking forward to those white mountains and all up in New Hampshire there. And Adam, I mean, we're pretty close in the area here, so I'm sure at some point we may run into each other, which would be cool. Do like a pop in on a video or something. It'd be kind of cool. So I'm gonna head on out. Time for me to make some dinner. So thanks for stopping by, guys, and I will see you in the next video I put out. Maybe I'll have a backpacking video for this weekend. Maybe, I hope. Probably be an overnight. But cool. Thanks, guys, and I will see you later. Bye.